Hey. Time for another Out of This World story from rSpace. Love can be an incredibly hard thing to recognize, but it can be even harder to know when it's time to walk away from love or what you thought was love. We have to recognize when it's not enough to push through. Respect is a very important thing in a healthy relationship. If love lacks respect, it's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Today in rSpace, it's calling for a full moon. Up first, what a big mouth you have, my dear. The better to lie with. Tired of the cheating. I, 32 female, have been with my boyfriend, 34 male, for 8 years. We had a great relationship in the beginning, but of course, once I had our son, that all changed. Cue thousands of dollars missing in affairs with coworkers. We split up when I finally asked him if he was cheating. He chose to go be with her. At first, I blamed myself. I absolutely hated myself because he would turn it on me and tell me if I would do XYZ, he wouldn't be doing the things that he does. I moved in with my parents, massive mistake, and dealt with them making me feel like a failure at life as well. Over a year later, my ex wanted to know if we could try to work things out, and I was so incredibly stupid to agree. Let me add that the majority of romantic relationships, friendships, and even family were extremely toxic, and due to abuse when I was a child, I always blamed myself for not being good enough. He seemed like he had become the person I had fallen in love with, and after a couple of months, I was head over heels for him and agreed to move back in. Another stupid decision. Well, I moved back in, and a month later, it all fell apart. I found out he was sleeping with the woman he had first left me for. They no longer worked at the same place, and she lives an hour away now, so I never thought it would happen again. Then I found out that he had not been paying his mortgage or utilities. He refused to help me with daycare or any of our children's needs. He has a son from a previous marriage that lives with us 100% of the time. I ended up going into debt trying to keep me and our children afloat. Because I was in such a bad place mentally, I begged him to work it out. He agreed, and things started getting better. Until they weren't. I would try to talk to him about the bills. I also work full-time, but he makes double than what I bring home, and refuses to help with any of the bills. He would scream at me that I was just being a money-hungry whore. There's a lot more things that he said he did, but I'm not in the mood to rehash them. Then COVID happened, and it only got worse. I was to the point that every line of credit was maxed out. My car broke down and would have cost thousands to fix, and he just didn't care. When the stimulus checks came, I was over the moon. I was able to pay off my cards and getting a running car. Things just turned around, and he was paying bills and being himself again. We were good, and the kids were good. We got pregnant, and were so excited. Then his phone went off in the middle of the night. I went through it, and to my horror, not only was he seeing his ex again, but there were 2 other women as well. I was 37 weeks pregnant and ended up having to get induced because of how high my blood pressure was from the stress of him. I had our youngest, who was perfectly healthy. The birth of my youngest has really opened my eyes to how abusive this relationship is. All he cares about is himself. He barely supports or takes care of our children and only cares about his happiness and his own well-being. He has pushed me to the point where I was going to commit myself because I was going to just end my pain. I'm so thankful I never followed through on that thought. He is mentally, emotionally, and financially abusive to me. He has made it so if I wanted to leave, which I do, I can't because I'm not leaving my children behind. I fixed my credit and was saving money to put a down payment on a house. I was to the point that I was going to start the process to get approved for a mortgage. My boyfriend had to pull a $20,000 401k loan because the house was going to be foreclosed on and utilities were going to be shut off because he owed them over $5,000. I refused to help him because I'm tired of having to pay all of his bills. I bring home $2,000 a month and pay for the kids' expenses, cable, my car insurance, his car and bike insurance, food, pet supplies, his oldest son's health insurance, etc. He brings home over $4,000 a month and I have no idea where his money goes. I've searched his phone and couldn't get access to his banking and only found calls and texts with other women, but nothing about where his money goes. Whatever, he took his loan to catch stuff up and I figured cool, he's taking care of it and I can focus on saving more to get out. Fast forward 2 months and the gas company showed up and it was either pay $2,000 or have no gas. Well, I had no other choice than to pay it. A week later, the electric company showed up, pay $500 or shut it off. I couldn't let them shut it off. I worked from home and had no options of anywhere I could go to work. I flipped out. He just got his huge loan and did whatever with it. I confronted him and told him to go be with his ex. I do want to add that I confronted her when I was pregnant and told her that I told him to leave to go be with her because I'm done with their games and that he refused to leave. I just don't understand why he won't leave to go be with her. but has cheated on me with her for the past 5 years. So I decided, since I have been put through the ringer the last 5 years, that I was going to be childish. I have at least 6 months before I can leave, so can't do anything drastic. Ordered one of those glitter bombs to be delivered to his work. Set it up so it looks like she sent it, so he will open it at work. I also ordered a box of crap to be delivered to her at her job. Now, before anyone defends her, she has also tried some shady stuff with me when they were together. Tried getting me to lose my job, real nice to do to a single mother. Had a guy try to date me to have him tell her what I was up to. Make up lies about me to mutual friends and so on. I'm done with these games and figured I could get a good laugh when those packages are delivered. Our first community response comes from CDS 534. OP, you have more problems than the cheating. I get being economically trapped, but you need to get the F out and sue him for child support ASAP. The OP responds, I'm going to see if my parents can help me out, whether co-signing or just helping with a down payment. Unfortunately, apartments around here are going for $1,200 for a 2-bedroom. I know I can take him for child support, but I can't file for that until I'm moved out. Next comment from Rare Decision 117. Girl, he's not leaving you because you pay for everything and take care of not only your children, but his as well. He probably couldn't get any of those girls to move in and take care of his kids while he runs around with other women. You need to move out now. You don't deserve any of this. Your children need to learn to respect themselves, and they'll never learn that watching you in this toxic cycle. He sounds like a serious piece of crap, I'm sorry. Get you and your kids out of there, get your child support, and most importantly, get yourself into some counseling. It sounds like you've suffered a lot of trauma in life and need some help sorting yourself before you ever even consider entering into another relationship. If you don't, you're going to teach your kids to accept this kind of abuse, and then they'll be doomed to the same experience you're in now. Please love yourself and your children enough to get out of this. Get this dude out of your life and never look back. Good luck. Life does not always go as planned, OP, and when things go wrong, it can be hard to walk away, especially when you are in a relationship. Very often in situations like this, you may find yourself reminiscing on times when things were better. However, you must be able to admit to yourself that those times were in the past and are not an accurate portrayal of what is going on now. There is no way to go back to better times, so you must let go of them and stop trying to think you can create a time like that again. Have the knowledge that you did what you can and walk away with dignity instead of staying in a relationship that makes you unhappy and is breaking you financially and putting your family at risk. You are walking away because this is what will ensure the best life, and how they may feel about it should not stop you. Recognize your own worth and needs and do what will be best for you, regardless of the consequences. If you were OP, tell us what you would do differently in the comments below. Our next OP has gained some knowledge to defeat the beast. The difference between guilty and remorse. I have realized something that I didn't see before, and which is whatever the cheater is feeling guilt or true remorse for cheating on their spouse. Someone who is only feeling guilty is only thinking the situation from their own side, and they are asking for forgiveness to relieve their own pain and guilty mind. They might even be feeling guilty for being caught for the cheating, not actually guilty for the cheating itself. A guilty person tends to want to be forgiven as quickly as possible and avoid speaking about the cheating. Someone who feels remorse is thinking about the person they cheated on, and they want to make it better for the person they cheated on. The person who feels remorse is willing to do anything and everything to make it better. A remorseful person wants on their own cut all contact with the person they cheated you with and change any behavior that led to the cheating. Someone who only feels guilty is more likely to cheat again, while a remorseful person is more likely to not do it again. If your partner who cheated on you wants to stay in contact with the person they cheated on you with, they refuse to give you access to their social media, or are unwilling to speak about the cheating or go to therapy, then it's unlikely they are feeling any real remorse for what they did, and the only feeling they might have is just the feeling of guilt. I realized my ex only felt guilty, but never real remorse when he apologized, which is why he continued to cheat on me behind my back multiple times. We have a reaction from Coyote Gen 2. I tend to agree with this. One step further though, if they cheated on you, can they really feel remorse? If they are capable of remorse, would they have cheated? What did they think the outcome would be? To answer my own question, they would have to be seriously debilitated mentally with a massive self-esteem issue. If they were to have that, wouldn't you notice that? They are master manipulators. It's kind of a paradox. Cheaters need to be let go. Life goes on. Life is already hard enough. Now to have to deal with the pain and mistrust and self-doubt you will have for the rest of your life? It's better to just hug and say, sorry, I need to move on. The OP replies, Humans make mistakes, and depending on a situation, they misjudge what they are doing. I would hate the world to be so black and white that we would think nobody can ever change, and if one makes a mistake, they'll always be a bad person, even if they would show all the signs that they have changed. But if people want to get back together and try to work on the relationship, they really have to pay attention to whatever the cheater truly wants to change themselves and is remorseful, or if it's just them feeling guilty and shameful of their actions and getting caught, and they are hoping you give them a quick fix and forgive them. And the mistrust part, that's where the real remorse is extremely important. A remorseful person will be doing all in their power to help you trust them again and make it possible for you to heal and trust. Someone who just feels guilty is all about wanting you to forgive them quickly and just assume the trust comes back immediately because you forgave. We have another thought from I've Done the Work. Remorse is about wanting to rebuild in abundance and hopefully make it better. Guilt, shame, and regret are not remorse. Be aware that remorse is very much necessary to reconcile, and so is no contact. You make some great points, OP. To add to this, I think a lot of times people feel guilty because they're guilty they got caught. I think this means they try to learn from their mistakes so they can cheat and get away with it next time. I think the difference comes from the ego. Like you said, guilt is very self-centered, while remorse is looking to right the wrongs. It comes from the heart. Someone who's looking to feed their ego and seek acceptance look for outward gratification. I think this has to do with a lot of why people cheat. It sounds like you've been thinking about this a lot, OP. I hope you can find peace soon. You deserve all the love the world has to offer. Let us know your thoughts on guilt and remorse in the comments below. And as always, thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Let us know what you thought of today's content. See you next time on rSpace.